We have a massive Milwaukee Bucks trade update to go over today, as following the Phoenix Suns just making a huge trade, and all signs are pointing to the Suns acquiring Jimmy Butler, but a brand new report has come out that the Bucks are going to try to hop into the three-team deal that is surrounding Jimmy Butler in order to make a deal. We're going to break that down and discuss what this means going forward, as the Bucks are very active in trade talks right now. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, but before we get into it, if you're part of the 83% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content, ladies and gentlemen. If you're enjoying it, make sure to smash that subscribe button. But folks, there's a lot to go over today, and quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, there is some crazy things going on, and this is breaking news as of a few minutes ago. So you can see this here about 30 minutes ago from Shams. The Phoenix Suns are trading their 2031 unprotected first to the Utah Jazz for 3 first-round picks. The Suns are acquiring the least favorable of the first in 2025, 2027, and 2029. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, why does this, affect the Bucks? I mean, it does for a few reasons. For one, the Bucks are in on the Jimmy Butler sweepstakes, even though it seems unlikely at this point. Two, this trade is setting the Suns up to get more assets in order to flip for Jimmy Butler. So it seems that all signs at this moment and at this juncture are pointing to Jimmy Butler being a not a Milwaukee Buck, a Phoenix Sun. So this is very interesting. And you're thinking, okay, so clearly they're trying to finalize a deal. We've heard some reports from Shams saying that traction is underway between Jimmy Butler and the Heat. So if you're hoping that the Bucks were going to land Jimmy Butler, that's probably not going to happen. But then you're seeing this here. According to a source familiar with the Heat's trade plans, this is one of the steps towards a Jimmy Butler trade. Picks plus a likely pair of players then would come to the Heat for Jimmy in what would be at least a 4-team deal, and quite possibly more than that. And you see this report here following up on that, basically saying, hey, keep an eye on the Bucks and the Raptors as well. And the Bucks are probably going to be, one of the ones in this trade. So it seems like a trade is imminent here regarding Jimmy Butler to the Suns. Now, this is interesting on a few different levels. One, at least he's out of the Eastern Conference. That is a big factor in this. It is a big play. Also being said, the Bucks are seemingly going to get involved in this deal. And this becomes very interesting now, because we knew that the Bucks were an opportunity or an option for Jimmy Butler. And the Bucks were, looking to acquire Jimmy Butler and all these different things, but it never really seemed like the Bucks had enough assets. And if you're the Phoenix Suns, I mean, you flipped 1 first-round pick, albeit one of the most valuable first-round picks in all of basketball, because of how uncertain this specific Phoenix Suns team is going to be beyond this season. But you're able to flip that into 3 first-round picks, which is huge for the Phoenix Suns. The Bucks are never going to be able to compete with that, because now they have 3 first-round picks to package an offer for Jimmy Butler. But if they're the Bucks now, you're hopefully going to find your way into this deal. Now, what it seems to be, and this is also another trade report that came down, the Pistons, Raptors, and Wizards are among teams open to the idea of taking on Pat Connaughton's contract for the right price. The Bucks have been actively attempting to trade Connaughton for months. Milwaukee would escape the second apron if they offer Connaughton. So maybe, some way they're going to sneak. I don't think they're going to sneak Connaughton here. They might. But regardless of that, a separate trade report here is that they're trying to shop Pat Connaughton, and at multiple teams. So obviously the Bucks are trying to dump Pat Connaughton at this moment. The reason they're trying to dump him, they want to get under the second apron. Connaughton's not giving them any value. You dump Pat Connaughton to a team like the Raptors, then obviously the Raptors say get a second-round pick. That would be my guess, Pat Connaughton in the 2031 second for a salary dump. Now, this becomes very interesting as well. And as you see, you're looking at all these reports. The Bucks are involved in a plethora of trade reports, a plethora of trade rumors. I mean, it seems like, again, they're going to probably try to get involved in this deal with the Phoenix Suns, and most likely because, the Suns need multiple teams to facilitate this deal. This is going to be a blockbuster trade when it happens, and especially if you are the Phoenix Suns. You're trying to get all these teams involved to help, mitigate some of the salary, all these different things. But regarding Pat Connaughton, it's super interesting. And again, the Wizards, the Raptors, and Detroit are reportedly interested in signing the seasoned player. According to Scotto, moving Connaughton might help the team avoid becoming a second apron luxury team. At this point, Milwaukee is $6.5 million over the second apron. He's anticipated to earn $9.4 this season, can alleviate the team's salary situation, and the wingman will also get $9.4 million next year if he exercises player option, which, surprise, surprise, ladies and gentlemen, he is absolutely exercising his player option. There is no doubt about that. Now, Pat Connaughton as a player, you look at the team this year, he's been a very good role player at times, but even if you just look at the Milwaukee Bucks depth chart, which doesn't really show or tell the whole story all the time, he is 4th. He is 4th in their depth chart. Now, he has not been good. He plays occasionally. He gets DNP'd, and when Doc Rivers does DNP Pat Connaughton, the team plays a hell of a lot better anyways. You have AJ Green, you have Gary Trent Jr., you have Chris Middleton, Ryan Rollins, Ajax. You have so many guys now that you really don't need what Pat Connaughton brings. And for them to be shopping him, it's interesting to give up an asset in order to get rid of Pat Connaughton. That's the unfortunate part. But he obviously has negative value at this point, or has no value, because the teams that are listed on this, in this report are teams that would be acquiring salary in order to get assets. The Raptors have a ton of open salary. The Pistons have open salary. The Wizards have open salary. They're looking to acquire assets in exchange for salary dumps. Now, does that mean the Bucks are going to go out and make a bigger move, and that's why they want to do this? Probably. It means something bigger, I think, is coming, and they don't want to have to be stuck with $9.4 million on the hook for a guy who's not even going to play, as opposed to a player like, if they go and get a guy who actually is going to be contributing towards the team at the trade deadline, then of course you're fine taking that hit and getting in the second apron. It makes things very interesting then. And then regarding this deal, I'm curious to see, and let me know down below, where do you see the Milwaukee Bucks fitting into this Jimmy Butler trade? Now, whether that be a Pat Connaughton, whether that be maybe acquiring something useful. Like, there's still a world here where in this trade, assuming it happens, I'm kind of speaking as if it happened because, again, reports and all signs are pointing to Jimmy Butler being a Phoenix Sun. That's where he wanted to be all along. That's where he said he wanted to be. And now, ultimately, it's probably going to happen that way. That being said, it is extremely intriguing to me that, well, A, now the Suns are kind of screwed. They don't have control over the picks for the next 7 years. But B, that the Bucks are involved in this. They can maybe, depending on what teams facilitate, they might be able to snag someone for fairly cheap that's actually a good player. You think back to when the Cavs got Jared Allen. They were able to get him being a second team or a third team in a deal for nothing. I think it was one or two second-round picks getting him from Brooklyn. So if the Bucks can facilitate something like that, now obviously that's a 99th percentile outcome. That's rarely going to happen to where you actually get a star player like, a 99th percentile outcome, Jared Allen. But if you don't, it doesn't have to be Jared Allen. It can be anybody, a solid big man. Maybe the Bucks try to get involved there and they're able to finesse it a little bit. That's what I'd like to see. They try to get out of the Pat Connaughton contract as well. You have Bobby Portis as well, who's been named and been in multiple trade rumors despite being a fan favorite. Some teams could use Bobby Portis. Maybe they do some, a bunch of different moves. At the end of the day, it is interesting. And you can see there, major question mark here, somewhat surprisingly involves the third team, the Detroit Pistons. Like, there's been trades where Pat Connaughton has been involved. The Bucks need to find a new home for Pat Connaughton in any Jimmy Butler trade. Now, maybe they facilitate this in the other way around. They're not going to acquire Jimmy Butler, but they'll acquire some other assets, And in acquiring some of these other assets, they may be able to go ahead and, get something out of it. And either way, we'll keep you up to date, but things are getting very interesting. Things are really starting to escalate surrounding the Milwaukee Bucks, surrounding the Miami Heat, surrounding the Phoenix Suns. And the Heat and the Bucks are right in the middle of every piece of news. So that'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on these trades. Would you want to trade Pat Connaughton? Would you want to get involved in the Bucks? And if so, what kind of trade would you be hoping to get? And also let me know down below, out of the options that I gave, like I mentioned, Pat Connaughton, even Bobby Portis, would you prefer to trade Pat Connaughton if it means giving up some assets, whether that be a second-round pick or something else, in order to get off of him? Or do you think they should just suck it up and pay the tax that they're going to pay by keeping his $9.3 million contract? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching.